Hello, welcome to Coull Discussions. That's Barry and Chris. Today we're going to talk about weed.
Pass it, baby.
Okay, now Justin Trudeau, some of you guys have probably heard about him by now.
He's the guy who likes to take selfies.
Yep.
And lead our country.
He made a promise in his election campaign that he was going to legalize weed. Now, legalizing weed has always been a sore subject, especially amongst Americans, because weed is the gateway drug to everything bad.
To the fucking pantry. That's what is a gateway drug to. Come on.
Good point. Now, there have been a couple of states in America that have legalized weed. They have been
Colorado.
Colorado will be the one that we'll be referencing because it's the only one I seem to remember. They've had it legal for 2 years, 2.5 years, somewhere.
Has it been that long? Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that long.
Yeah, it's actually been a while.
I know that in the first month they sold like millions of dollars worth of weed.
Well, yeah,
the first day or something like that.
Throw a stat right at you. Last year they did $1 billion in sales
in
weed in Colorado. And a good counterpoint to this is that think that money would have gone into the illegal drug trade, right? $1 billion right there that he's taking out of organized crime and put it into maybe a little bit more legitimate organized crime.
Into legalized organized crime.
Okay, but they're paying taxes. That's the important thing. Which is funny because Colorado's made $135 million in taxes just off that $1 billion, which good for them. By comparison, they had $42 million in taxes from alcohol sales. So, obviously, that's a little bit more. What was really weird, I guess you can reverse math it, but math is not always my strongest point. The sales percent for alcohol is like around 3%. In Colorado, it can be like 3.9 or 2.5, so it's around 3%. Colorado has a sale tax at 2.9%. They have a 10% marijuana tax, and then if you do wholesale weed, like pounds of it, you pay 15%. So
to the government, that's what you're paying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you buy $40,000 worth of weed, it's $44,000 because 10% tax.
Yeah. Makes sense to me, I guess.
And they have like 5.3 million people
in Colorado.
So
it's not that many.
Actually, it is not that many. But you know what? It's a percentage of Canada's total population. So by comparison, we have 35 million people here in Canada, and the search is on to see whether or not we are allowed to legalize weed. Now, legalizing weed has always been a minefield because, one, we have international trade agreements with other countries that have don't deal with marijuana.
So then we don't trade weed with them.
No, that's true. We don't trade weed with them. But, what they're talking about is like international laws. Like if we have legal weed, are we going to be able to fight crime the same way that other countries are going to be fighting crime?
Maybe every other country should pull their head out of their ass and do the same thing then. Like, we're fighting a $1 billion war on drugs, you know what I mean? And it's like marijuana is like
much bigger.
Imagine taking marijuana out of that. Imagine letting all the people who are in jail on marijuana charges out of jail. And how,
that's a point too. Is what are we going to do with people who are
you have to
obviously in prison? This is okay, fine. You're just let them out. Yeah. I think that anybody with possession charges out. Yeah, no problem. The record is expunged. However, people that are dealing, like large scale, they still serve a reduced sentence for because dealing in such large quantities is still a major thing. Possession isn't necessarily a major thing because, possession charge can, you just have to have a joint. Yeah, and you're in trouble for that. Now, it's much, much harsher in the States than it is in Canada.
I just don't think that I don't think it's that big of a deal. We're all. I can go to a store and I can buy a 6-pack of beer, a pint of vodka, and that alcohol has provenly killed more people than marijuana ever has. Ever. You don't hear about somebody crashing a car high on weed.
Ooh, and now that's a little bit more difficult.
I've never seen anything I'm sure it happens.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We may not have heard about it because all we hear is that somebody was intoxicated. And as soon as we say intoxicated, we automatically think booze. We assume booze. So intoxication could be somebody who is high.
It could be different things, but
now, okay,
I'm sure they would release it in regards to this matter if it was statistically, marijuana has killed X amount of people, but you don't. When's the last time you heard of an overdose of marijuana? You know what I mean?
No, true.
How many kids nowadays? How many kids nowadays get into their parents' liquor cabinet and drink themselves and accidentally die?
Yeah,
because they drink too much.
Yeah, too much too shortly. You can suffer from alcohol poisoning, which can be a very serious threat. You can actually die from it. Too much weed.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if you smoke too much weed.
You could hurt yourself. It is a drug.
Do you just get more lazy? I don't know.
Okay, that's a good point. How many people have you ever heard of dying from an overdose of marijuana? I personally never heard of anybody.
No.
I think the worst that happens when you overdose of marijuana is you just
probably get sick. You probably get pretty sick.
Barf. Yeah. So
but
that would have to be a lot of marijuana.
Yeah. How much would it have to be? Yet alone how marijuana has been proven to help people with
medical marijuana
issues.
Medical marijuana has been legal in Canada for a few years now. We actually have a medical marijuana industry.
See, that doesn't make any sense. That completely blows my mind.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll let the people who are sick and suffering, hey, you can smoke it because it helps you. Oh, but you want to do it recreationally? No, you got to go to the back alley and buy it off some scummy-looking person.
Now,
what?
One of the things that I always hear is you should legalize weed and tax it, and it's you'll be able to eliminate the deficit, no problem.
Probably not.
No. You overestimate just how much money people are spending.
I'm sure there's a lot, but
okay,
it'd probably be comparable to cigarettes, tobacco, booze. It would be in that area.
Okay, but put it in perspective. $1 billion in sales in marijuana. In 2015 in Colorado, 5 million people.
So
right now, mind you, there's a tourist industry because they want to go there and legally smoke it and stuff like that.
So you can probably conservatively estimate. So there's 5 million people there, 35 million people in Canada. So say, fucking 20% of people smoke marijuana in Canada. So that's what
more people would smoke.
7 million people, right? So say 7 million conservatively people would like to buy weed legally, right? So you're looking. Probably close to $1.5 billion, $2 billion in marijuana sales.
Even if you want to say, hey, you know what, just jump it up to match. Say half of what we sell in booze in Canada. Last year alone in Canada, we sold $21 billion in booze.
Okay, so we
so say it's $10 billion.
I think you could match at $21 billion.
Yeah, just throwing numbers out there. Yeah, match booze. Marijuana matches booze, right? You're taxing it, and even if it's 10%, that's still
$210 million.
Actually, $1 billion.
Oh, on $1 billion?
No, on $21 billion.
Oh, $21 billion. Oh.
$21 billion in sales, tax at 10%.
It'll be $2 billion.
$2 billion.
Sorry,
right? That's pretty good, but that's not
$2 billion.
But that's not deficit slang.
No, okay, but it's helping.
But
it's
I think it's not a bad idea. My only point is a lot of people go, oh yeah, legalize it and tax it, and then it'll slay the deficit.
Yeah,
No. Whoa! You're saying that you were talking about like $100 billion worth of sales in marijuana.
Yeah, we're
There
like
could be
$100 billion in debt, aren't we? What, as a country?
There might be $100 billion worth of sales of marijuana around the world.
Yeah.
And we're Canada, we have a small population, so we only say.
So you legalize weed, right? Yeah. Okay, so you get some benefits of it. You get the taxation revenue of it.
Yeah.
Which, that's a different story completely.
Yeah.
Number two, you take the money out of the criminals, right? I'll use that quote,
we'll use
lightly
it
because
loosely.
we know that the people probably aren't going to be the nicest people who open the weed shops. They're probably still a little shady.
Some will be. Some will be completely and totally legitimate places.
You're taking the police and the time they spent chasing after the teenagers or the guys with grow-ops. You're taking that away, so you're taking police resources and redirecting them to real crimes.
Yeah.
So you're saving a little bit of money there. I personally would even go one step further.
Go ahead.
I would legalize all drugs. Acid, cocaine, LSD, mushrooms, whatever there is out there. Because I just figure, all because of the alcohol argument in my mind. Alcohol is probably by far one of the worst drugs that we have in this world.
One of the worst, yes.
Okay, so to compare it to, we talked about it a little bit before when we talked about the music festival.
Yep.
Right? And how people are going to do it. People are going to drop their whatever they do to have a good time. So now if it's, this is going to sound so weird because if it's regulated, which if it's regulated, we're never going to get away from it.
Yeah,
so
and regulation is good.
But now I worry if the government's going to be the right people to handle it. That's my issue, but I'll get to that in a second. So if you do legalize all drugs and put it into some sort of regulation, number one, you won't get you'll have better product of like cocaine, because I know a lot of cocaine is cut with like other stuff that could be dangerous, that could do more harm, and it waters it down a little bit, so you could have competition from cocaine dealer to cocaine dealer. That's weird, eh? I sell 100% pure cocaine over here, and I just think that it would help stifle the organized crime and the war on drugs that we have. This war on drugs, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, people are addicted to drugs. Yes, I understand that. But people are addicted to alcohol, cigarettes, food, pornography, things that are all legal. Right? But when you're addicted to drugs and you get caught with drugs, you get put in jail. When you get caught jerking off in public, well, you get put in jail to that. You get a fine. Or if you're fat and obese and you go to you get free health care because you're addicted to food. You know what I mean? And it's like, would it put strain on our healthcare system? Maybe, but there's other ways to combat that. If you're an addict, maybe you should be paying out of your own pocket to get yourself better. Stuff like that. I don't know.
But okay, no, for that matter, any tax revenue you make off of all legal drugs, you put half of it towards healthcare.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. Imagine in Colorado, they actually have a statement in their constitution now stating that a certain percentage of that money from the legal weed sales has to go towards education. So, what was it? 2014, they ended up putting another $13.5 million into education from
beauty.
Voila. That's all you have to do.
Is there going to be problems? Of course there is.
Yeah.
Of course there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be... And that's where my concern comes in, is the government the right entity to regulate this? Because we've seen the government regulate things before.
Who else is going to regulate?
And it fails.
Whoa. Yes.
We look at we had a discussion last week about the banks, right? You brought up the banks, right? Yeah. And the government tried to regulate the banks, and look what happened there.
No, the banks regulated themselves, and they caused a recession.
Well, it was a combination. They went, "Hey, we're going to give you money, government, to give us what we want." And they went, "Okay." That's what it was. They bought them. No, but I just we digress.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it is are they the best people to be regulating it? You know
but okay, they would be the ones that would probably be the most partial, simply because if you
really, you don't think they wouldn't fight over?
Hold on. This is a good example. Earls wanted to use ethical meat, right? And the only ethical meat that they could find in large enough quantities was from the States, because they have a third-party program to rubber stamp these meat products saying they're ethical. In Canada, we already follow all those rules. We just don't have a third party going around going, yeah, you're good. So having a third party going around might not necessarily be the best, because you can buy off parties. If you have a government, yeah, you can buy off governments, but in theory,
yeah, you could. Come on, as if you don't think. If you don't think there's money being given to these guys behind doors, then
government is corrupt, yes, but you know what? Industry itself tends to be even more corrupt.
I think it's
because they tend to be the source of the corruption, because they're the ones buying into government.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree.
But they are. If industry wasn't buying into government, who would be paying off governments?
Well, it is the industry.
Right,
but they're buying. But there's corruption.
If you're asking them to regulate themselves,
I'm not asking them to regulate themselves. I'm asking us as a society to regulate it. Saying we choose where we buy our product from.
We still can, but it's
you know what I mean?
It's still a matter of you still don't want to be going to dives and eating.
We're just too dumb as a society to. We need Big Brother. Unfortunately, I don't like it, but unfortunately, in my lifetime, I'm not going to live to see a society that I would think is, in my eyes, is perfect. We're going to have always Big Brother over us, and it's just the way it is.
Okay, well, we digressed again.
It's like, I don't know. I just think, why not? Why not every drug? Just
and that was going to be my next question, actually. Should we legalize other drugs, too?
Why not? I don't do drugs at all. I I drink alcohol. Okay, sorry. I do drugs, alcohol. I drink beer. So that's a drug. That's
It is.
Let's be honest here.
It is classified as a drug.
I do
so
drugs.
So is caffeine, for that matter.
So is tobacco. If you smoke, if you do drugs, and it's like, so why not?
Caffeine is a drug.
Why not just let it all go?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because then, is there still going to be a black market for this stuff? Of course there is. There's this black market for your television. Sometimes you can get your television off of somebody who it fell off the back of a truck. Like there's always going to be a black market for everything.
Yeah, no, it's true, and
accept it. Just accept it. Don't. I don't tell him what to put in his body. He doesn't tell me what to put in my body. I'm not going to tell you what you should put in your body. If you want to snort coke,
some people actually
snort it away.
Like fully functional addicts, and
but then
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, when you fall into the addiction cycle, like you need to take responsibility on your own.
And that's the thing is, if you have something legal, it might be easier to come out of that addiction cycle, because you can actually go to your doctor and say, "I'm actually addicted to coke," and the doctor's like, "Hey, no problem. It's a legal drug. We've been able to test some stuff. We've been able to do this. We've been able to do that." Because right now, because drugs are illegal,
there's a stigma on it. There's a shame on it.
Stigma, shame, and on top of that, we can't legally test people with these drugs to see, because morphine is a highly addictive drug. And because morphine is perfectly legal because it's part of the medical system, we have an antidote to morphine, an opiate. Damn it! So not prepared for that one. Okay, I know that. Okay, when you are addicted to that type of drug, an opiate, you can to help with withdrawals. You can actually take this. Opiate that doesn't give you the high, but helps you with your cravings, withdrawals and stuff like that. So, because that opiate is legal, they've been able to find something like that. And so, if other drugs were legal, people might be able to find something to help with that. And
I just think it would overall be better. It would just there's more positive than I think there is negative to legalizing not only marijuana but all drugs.
Because of that, there's people. Okay, a negative argument to that would be is like, well, society will degrade. It's like, well, no, society didn't degrade. When alcohol was legal in the States, I think was illegal. Did people stop doing alcohol? No. A big underground industry exploded about getting people booze. And police had to spend so much time, money, and effort trying to stop these. And, when people are making booze in their bathtubs, it makes it dangerous.
Yeah. When you're brewing, what is it, marijuana, or not marijuana, like meth in your house, and your house blows up and kills your neighbors.
Right? If this stuff was legal, you'd be able to rent out
a place and have it safe and build a building.
And at that point in time, this is where the regulations come in. You make sure that it's... If anybody's watched Breaking Bad,
as long as they're proper,
they had a perfectly nice lab in a basement. Filtered air, this, that, the other thing. For those of you who watch Breaking Bad, you understand. You'd be able to have industry like that and make things like that.
Yeah.
Now, people, it's easy to argue against because, people are going to get addicted. Well, they're going to be addicted one way or the other. Well, it's going to be easily accessible.
Okay.
Anybody who wants a drug
still easily accessible. Trust me. I don't know because I don't do them, but I'm sure it's easy to get marijuana, to get acid, to get coke, to get anything you need. It's still easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It's like booze for underage people. They're still going to get it.
Yep.
Let's just embrace it, accept it, and learn how to deal with the negative side effects from it. Is there going to be stuff that we don't know? Of course there is. There's going to always be stuff that the unknown. But hey, I don't have an issue with it.
I actually don't have an issue with it either.
If we start with the weed, fine. Okay.
Start baby steps, sure, whatever.
Obviously we can't just throw it all out there. We can't, you've got to transition
now,
into things.
In the Liberal government, they have actually appointed a former police chief of Toronto, who was a Liberal MP, to head up the investigation of how to legalize marijuana. Now, great, they got an ex-cop to do it, which is also a blessing and a curse, because one, he's a cop, he understands the dangers of drugs, so he'll have cautions, but he's also a cop, so he understands the dangers of drugs, so he's going to have cautions. So, it's better than giving it to a hippie, because a hippie would be like, yeah, we're going to make it legal.
Wow. Okay.
But he would just go, yes, done. But at least the police chief is going to do due diligence, his homework, and make sure how things might be able to do it. And come April 2017, at least according to Justin Trudeau, our Prime Minister,
we'll see.
He says they're going to have a vote. And, well, I don't know, considering how things are going in Parliament, yeah. We may not see that vote. But let's see. It is a campaign promise. Politicians make promises all the time.
That's right.
They break promises all the time. So, I'm not against drugs. I'm not overly for them either. But, you know what? If we could treat people...
Have you ever done a drug in your life?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. See? I've done drugs in my life.
I've had pop brownies.
It's just what it is. And if you think that your neighbors probably smoked it, you've smoked it.
And you know what? There are some people out there
who haven't,
and good for you. Great.
It's your choice.
But I envy your ability.
Don't make it
to do that.
Don't make your choice my choice, because it might not be the same.
Yeah.
It's like if you hear a vegan talking about their choice, you get pretty pissed off because you're like, just shut up.
Yeah, I get it. You're a vegan. Leave me alone. I eat meat.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to change my mind.
Let us know what you guys think.
I've seen the videos.
Yeah, I've watched all those cowspiracies and stuff. Let us know what you guys think about the whole weed and drug topic in the comments below.
Yep. Legal weed.
Or on the Facebook.
In a year.
Give us the thumbs up on the Facebooks with the comments. Tell us why we're right or why we're wrong, or your opinion. Tell us we're jackasses. I don't care.
Yep.
Just back up your opinions.
Yeah.
The iTunes. Yeah. Subscribe there. You can listen to us. Twitter @Coull Discussion. You'll get all the good stuff. Guys, thanks for listening to us blab our mouths again, and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful week.
Okay.